Hello, and welcome to another installment of Star Citizen. We pick up where we left off last time to show you how much these FPS Minables are worth, how much we can bring home in a given backpack, and we find a way to extend the backpack to bring home even more goodies. In our last episode, we were out with the hand tool mining these mineable rubble-filled rocks that we had found. It was really great because there was several of them scattered around. They usually appeared in clusters of 2, 3, 5. I was finding them in clusters of about 5 to 6. But one of the things that happened to me is that I wasn't able to pick up all the chunks that I was finding. The backpack got filled up.
It's all here.
But I took what I had and I decided, well, let's go sell this. This is all I can hold. So we climbed back in the prospector, went back to Port Olisar, and bam, there we are. Nice little haul.
This could really save my neck.
I would say that this was a pretty good return for the time that we spent out there. Now, I will tell you about how long it took. When I started mining on the ground and looking for these ores, the sun was just about ready to come up when I started.
Holy sundial!
And when I finished, the sun was again looking like it was about ready to come up. So it did take a fair bit of time to get these minables. But if I was in a ship that was not capable of doing a lot of trading or was not capable of doing the mining itself, this would not be so bad. It would be a reasonable trade-off because the return was pretty good. CIG very well may balance this, tweak this, change these prices.
I am aware of that, Doctor.
But if they keep it at a fairly high value, and they did say that these gems that we're finding would be the very high value types of things.
The FPS minables in general are very valuable commodities. They're rare, but they're super valuable.
And they probably made it so it does take a little bit of time to hand pick up each little piece for that purpose. It's about return on your effort for the amount of time spent. Now, what I wouldn't want to see is that the FPS minables wound up being more profitable per hour than the actual mining with the ship itself, but they're going to balance that. Now, interestingly, the Dolovine that was the least valuable actually had the highest instability and was one of the hardest to mine. Hadnite was next, and the Aphorite was relatively easy. It took me a couple minutes to figure out the interface of what was going on. My power to my laser was here, right on the gun. The instability was the second number down, similar to what it looks like in the prospector. Over on the left-hand side, I kept looking for where's the little bar that tells me when I'm overcharging. So when I overcharged a rock a little bit intentionally, there it was at the top. It showed me my overcharging. It slid from right to left. And I will say that it was a lot more forgiving than the ship mining was, in that when you did overcharge a rock, it would discharge that overcharge a lot quicker. So I didn't necessarily have to wait for the rock to cool down significantly. I could almost keep mining if I wasn't near the point where it was about ready to break apart. Now, none of these rocks were overly challenging to break down and bring home, but the Dolovine was the hardest of the three. I'm really not sure what that means. It might mean that Dolovine might be one of the more rare ones, or it might be that perhaps that's going to be used later on in the game for some other purpose. You're going to trade that in, and maybe you need to mix that with something to make quantum fuel.
I can confirm your theory to be horse shit.
Who knows? Having left some rocks behind on my first couple runs,
We can't just leave them out there.
I really wanted to know what I could do to try to maybe extend that, and they've talked about being able to put these things into crates.
Now, the store all functionality will basically store all of the things that are inside your backpack at that particular moment in time and store them in a cargo box at your feet.
So I did an experiment. I took the prospector out, I filled up my backpack, and I put all of my product, all of the Dolovine, into a crate and put it on board my prospector, because I was using the prospector to help actually find these chunks of rocks out there. I was able to sell what was in my backpack at the normal trading console, but I couldn't see in the console, either here or in the mining console, where it was holding my crate of Dolovine. Now that's because the prospector does not have a dedicated cargo grid to hold cargo and trade it normally.
Holy complications.
But I did find a workaround. I was able to go back to the prospector, grab the box off the ship, and I still couldn't sell it holding it in my hand, but I was able to spawn my cutlass and put it on board my cutlass on the dedicated grid and sell it from there.
Holy resourcefulness.
Now this left me with a real problem, because what if the prospector was the only ship I had? It's not that cheap to buy a cutlass, and about the cheapest ship that you could purchase might be something like an Aurora ES, but it doesn't have a dedicated cargo grid, at least not yet without the store all box, for you to be able to place a box on board and then be able to sell it. Yes, you can bring the delivery boxes on board, but that's just storing them to be able to hand carry them to deliver. It's not a dedicated cargo grid that the trade consoles will recognize. I also realized that I might be able to rent a ship and be able to put the boxes on board that. But the cost of the rentals means I'd probably have to store up a few of these boxes to even cover the cost of the rental. That's not very affordable. But there's always alternatives.
There were always alternatives.
So in my next video, we're going to look at ways for us to hand mine without having to go to caves and without having to use the prospector and still be able to turn a profit. Put in the comments below anything that you'd like to see, but I'm going to continue exploring this FPS mining and keep peeling back the onion, looking for different ways to be able to use the hand mining, different ways to be able to apply it, and be able to get the most gameplay out of the mining that I possibly can. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be talking to you later.
And incomplete. Have a pleasant stay.